Welcome back. And Order looking to close it out against the Chiefs as fast as the Chiefs closed it out against PGG last night. And Juves, obviously it's a team game, but I do want to just shout out to Rare, who seems to have really learned how to play League of Legends between last week and this week.
Yeah, I mean, Rare 7 still... Look, I feel bad because for me as a person, I'm always just going to say what I think and what I'm seeing, right? I don't think Rare 7's playing particularly well. I think that the top side of Order is carrying quite hard. However, I will say what Rare 7's doing well is he's able to stop the bleeding at a certain point, and in crucial team fights, he then played well. So I wouldn't say that Rare's, having a blinder all game round, but when it's come down to the crucial team fights, he's played well.
Yeah, but the step up from last week to this week is here.
Yeah,
I mean, all he had to do was attend, and then he would have had him step up.
I mean, a couple of things, right? He was up 15 CS during the laning phase. They burnt Katsuru's flash very early on in the game. I think there were a couple of blunders, as Stu said. That ultimate shot in the 1v2 from the brush wasn't particularly pretty. Also, the fact that he didn't recall and teleport back to laning phase. But I think that these are things that he's looking for plays whilst he's ahead now.
Yeah.
As opposed to last week when he was looking for plays when they were already no potion, forced under turret wave number 1. And they are playing their level 1 slightly better. He is getting to team fights with flash. And a lot of the time, we sit there and we look at wow, this AD carry played it really well. But a lot of the AD carries that play team fights well are just the AD carries that always have flash in team fights. Because an AD carry with flash is a much more dangerous creature than an AD carry without flash. So I just think he's doing crucial things in this best of 5 that were definitely missing last week in the series against Pentanet and Legacy. And I think that the reality with how Order's top side is playing is they don't need a bottom lane to carry the early game. They just need a bottom lane that can show up in team fights. And I think that Ayla and Ronan did a much better job of that for the first 2 games. And you know what? I'll actually say that Dragku and Katsuri this game also did a much better job of showing up to the team fights. I thought that these team fights were much more compelling, and this was a closer game.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. I don't know how much more the Chiefs bot lane could actually have done to win that game, in the sense that they laned quite well. Yes, there was a bit of a hiccup on the flash. Dragku was landing bindings in lane. He was landing bindings on the Ezreal. There's not much more you can request from your Lux. And it just feels like, the center and the Lux, Dragku and the Katsuri, just did their job. And it was really elsewhere and not even necessarily elsewhere, it was more just when it came down to the critical team decision-making, or the critical, how do we set up, how do we execute in terms of our composition, it's where they went missing. I wouldn't say that there's a particular, weak link in really any of these games. I just think that there's been some exceptional players on the side of Order, right? No one from Chiefs are playing bad, but Hayri's having a blinder, only had, out of 11 kills on Trundle, only had 11 kill participation. Swiper's being put into negative matchups every single game so far, and he's coming out ahead, or if not on top, and having some very big teamfight influences. So it's no one's playing bad, but that's the thing. When you get to playoffs, it's not about who's playing bad, it's about who's going to rise up, who's going to take the next step. And what we're seeing right now is it's Hayri, it's Swiper, and it's those types of players that are really having these huge team fight impacts, as well as just working well together as a team.
And I also think it comes down to, and I talk about this a lot, knowing what your opponents do well and then being able to counter that and do what you do well. And I think that Order actually have a pretty good understanding of how Chiefs want to play the game. And we're seeing that through Big Ban, and we're also seeing that through how they're shoving them off objectives before they fight it. I don't think Chiefs know what Order do well. And it comes out in their interviews when they talk about Order, because Claire called Order overrated even when they were on a big winning streak. And when he asked, did we lose the last game, you could tell that he wasn't really able to pinpoint how they actually did that. So I think that I don't know whether Chiefs actually have a good read on how Order want to play the game.
Can I tell you the problem? I think I know what the problem is. The problem is that Order historically haven't been a very good topside team. If I'm being brutally honest, and I love Swiper, and I'm sure he'll admit this, at times he's been very poor for the Order lineup, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere in between, mid-split or even earlier, Swiper actually turned into a very strong laner, which we're not used to seeing from him in recent splits. And then Only and him developed a lot of synergy where when they actually played around each other, they were quite good. And now Hayri's taking that next step to being potentially the best mid laner in the league. So it's what you used to know about Order not being that strong topside team, where actually it was Rare and Ayla getting most of the leads and doing most of the damage and carrying most of the games. And it's just like a complete flip as to what Order are good at. And that's what's dangerous, because at any moment, Rare and Ayla can have their pop-up performance that we're used to seeing. And that's why your Order is so hard to verse, because historically they've not been a topside team, but they're just winning most of their games topside.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, they were an Ornn Scion kind of team, and then if you have a look at what Rare was playing, he was playing a lot of Kalista and a lot of Xayah Rakan, right? So I think that these, like, Juves has probably put the nail on the head. And I also just think that, like, Order are not a pretty team, but they get 5 people to an objective relatively early a lot of the time. And I think that a lot of people, like, mistake that for bad macro, when really what it is just, like, shove side lanes and then make the other team, like, make a mistake. And Sorry, go, Jules.
No. Well, this region's LPL, right? LPL light in that sense. And that's what Order do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you just get to an objective first and then they start seeing creeps die to a turret, teams either say, okay, we need to go get the creeps and you get the objective for free, or they say, well, we're losing creeps, so we need to team fight them, and they probably rush and botch it. And that is what you see in the LPL. So, like, it's not glamorous League of Legends by any stretch. Like, we're not a PGG or a Legacy who play actually, like, very pretty League of Legends. We're an ugly team. But I think that historically OPL is probably one of the ugliest regions to watch in that regard, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Juves, and the exciting thing for Order now is having won 2 games, there's no way they can lose this. There's no historical precedent for anything that could possibly go wrong.
I was just going to say congratulations to Order. There's no way they get reverse swept being 2-0 up.
It's only happened to us. We've been around 6 seasons. It's only happened to us 3 times, I think, so far.
Ridiculous. Before we move on, someone in chat, Juves.
Yeah.
I need to find them. Who was it? It was Riley Van B is flaming the TV position in your living room.
No,
can you justify it? Can you justify it for the people?
So, the TV is in a good place because there's actually a couch just there. And so it's actually straight ahead.
There you
go. And then we have that couch over there, by the way, and they recline. So it's almost like a little theater. So the TV's fine, and also you can just tilt that TV. You can turn the TV, it's on a swivel, so you can turn it to face that couch. It's actually, it's been thought about, and if you think that I haven't thought about it, probably haven't been watching OPL for a very long time.
Also, guys, Juves' house, I've been to Juves' house. Juves' house is, like, spectacular. Like, it is actually a really, really nice house. Juves is living the life, if you know what I mean.
Juves has a TV in every corner of every room of his house.
His backyard literally looks like a holiday resort. I'm not even memeing at the moment. His backyard is very, very nice.
If it was a bit lighter outside, I would put the webcam
take us outside.
Okay, I can try. I can try.
Just shove the webcam out the window for a second.
So you see, like, there's like the trees out there that gives you like the nice kind of like you're in the resort. Then there's like some pebbles over there on my it's too hard to see because it's dark, but it's nice.
Now take us to the kitchen. Let's see what's for dinner.
Okay.
Let's get Juves' mum on the show. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's been.
Hey, Ma, you want to come on the show? She didn't reply. She's camera shy. She said no.
She's sitting in chat and she said, "Pity it's not his house."
Pity it's not his house. I'm buying a house, dude. If I get paid overtime, I can leave quicker.
There's no overtime. This is going to be done in 25 minutes. When you're listening, or to have this on lock. Don't worry about that. When you do get the house, are you taking the table? Because that's a lovely table.
I'm thinking. I'll be honest. I'm really thinking about it. Because at the end of the day, if I want to take it, there's nothing they can do about it. I'm literally the king of this household. At the end of the day, there's nothing they can do. My parents, what are they going to do? I'll walk out of the house with it. Do something about it.
This is the weirdest moment we've had on the show. Spawn, I don't know.
Dude, I'm going to take Spawn's bookshelf too, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Help from his mother. Have you? What's that movie? We need to talk about Kevin. Is that we need to talk about Juve's book out there that we should probably look at. Well, this took a very weird turn. At some point, Juve's mother will come in and give him a slap around for that last comment of his. But before we do, let's just crack through a couple more LCK champs before we get into what I assume is definitely the last game.
Saved by the LCK.
Let's get it going.
Blitzcrank versus Dr. Mundo.
Oh, both trash champions. This is a non-spawn
That's the dirt
day.
one. Can we get rid of both?
Yeah, sure. That would definitely speed up the next round. So
I would
they're both
sack
gone.
both. What about
There
you,
we go.
Jake?
Yeah, I hate both of these
Yeah.
champions.
All right, good. Urgot versus Warwick.
I would be tempted to sack both, but
Okay, let's not make it a habit. I gave
No,
you,
okay,
gave you a
okay.
special
I would
treat.
take- I would
You're like
take
a kid who's asking for too much.
I would take Urgot off the premise that he has a pretty cool ultimate, puts him into a grinder, and you know just as well as I do, Nick Boy, that someone has been permanently banned in Twitch chat that mains Warwick, so
Absolutely.
we can't.
Okay, off that reasoning alone, I will also go Urgot. You swung me.
Wait, we're picking Urgot or we're
Yes.
ditching Urgot?
We're picking Urgot.
Okay, good.
No one knew who he was before he put on the mask.
That's good.
Yep.
Good reference. Zach versus Azir.
Ooh,
Oh.
this is a good one.
Okay, so the Zorn
Amorphous
combatant versus
combatant.
the Emperor of Shurima. I
would-
like the Emperor of Shurima because it reminds me of Yamato Cannon.
Why?
Because he used to, like when we were hanging out and stuff, he used to always go, Emperor of Shurima, in a really cool, deep voice. And I like Yamato.
I reckon you just said that to say that you hang out with some pretty important people. Because
yeah,
that
Sandbox
felt like-
Gaming Code.
yeah, because I'll have you know that I've hung out with some cool people before too.
Have you?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Name-
I'm gonna go with Zach.
Name 7 of them.
Name 7 of them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Zach.
Zach is... I mean, Zach to me is the one champ in League of Legends where I'm just like, I don't get how this champ gels with everybody else. Can anyone explain it to me?
Bro, he's just a big ass blob that jumps on people, and then as he's jumping on them, he leaks his blobs onto the ground and picks the blobs up and gets
But,
more
like-
juice in the tank.
But like literally every other champ in the game is non-blob form. Like,
Look how many blobbers are in Twitch chat. Press 1 if you're a blobber in the chat.
oh, they're going crazy already.
Look at
Riley Van B, who initially hated where you put your television, is now a big Juve supporter.
That's what I'm saying.
So
Look
we're
at the
going
blobbers,
Zach.
dude,
Where did this end
wow.
up? Look at them go. I think we're going... Oh, are we going Zach or Azir?
We're going Azir. There's 86% of chat, 65% of chat said Azir.
Oh, please. Stop pretending like you have ever respected a single thing Twitch chat have
You
ever
actually,
said.
you
come
did say we
on.
should get rid of Twitch chat permanently. I remember you saying that.
You did, and you didn't,
I
and you
honestly
didn't
think
even
Twitch
just
would
mean...
be an improved platform if they banned the chat function.
And you didn't just mean the function. You meant we would physically go to these people's houses and round them up like cattle and shoot
Yeah.
them
No,
into the
I did
sun.
not mean
You
that
are
at
a
all.
monster.
No.
You know what? I did
Abort.
read your
I
emails.
hear that there is a next game coming up. Someone
You know what?
save
With that
me.
kind of attitude, congratulations this year. With that kind of attitude, I'm glad Order are about to be reverse swept. So let's get into game number 3 of the evening. It's Chiefs versus Order. It's coming up with the Macca's Gem Select. Oh, did he jinx it? Did he? Let's find out.
Game number 3. Order are one step closer to making the grand finals, to making it this year, to potentially cause not only an upset in the grand scheme of things, but to get the organization as a whole their first championship title. As for the Chiefs, they've been in positions like this before. You know, you date your minds back to Split 1 playoffs. They've had some full-on best-of-5s, and this year's been interesting. You know, we've yet to see a full best-of-5 series go the distance, so potentially this is the start of what could be the reverse.
Would be nice to see 5 games in a BO5, wouldn't it, for once in our lives here in the Oceanic League? But the way that the last 2 games have gone, it is very hard to say that we would see a 4th game in the first place, right? We're waiting for something extra from the Chiefs to really make the difference. Because again, if you contrast that last game, and I do agree with what our analysts were saying before we got house tours, was that it felt like Order have been playing above and beyond, right? Chiefs have just been playing League of Legends. I think there's been a couple of mistakes here from position-wise players like Croc, who has definitely been struggling a little bit in this one. But overall, it's just Order playing well. So when you look at this one, it really requires Chiefs to punch above their average in this best of 5 to be able to take it to Order and have any chance to get to the finals against Legacy.
Certainly is, and that was a potential look into what the side of Chiefs are potentially considering here. They will get their Yuumi. Now, this is a question I raised in Game 2, as to we know that Draku loves it, we know that Yuumi's received those buffs to make it not so annoying with those insane heal costs for the mana, obviously. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we also got a bit of a sneak peek into what they're considering with that Lucian Hover. Now, he has been buffed in subsequent patches, quite strong on 10-16, and we know that Katsuru's only played one game this year, but has played a lot of games in solo queue as a whole coming into this one.
And if it's a Bard Ezreal, I do think that kind of opens the door to the Lucian Yuumi lane a little bit more. This kind of is the gauntlet thrown, in my opinion, as well here by the Chiefs. Going for the Yuumi, Draku's most comfortable champion. We all thought Yuumi was dead, but we've seen it here and there sporadically, particularly in NA. The first Lucian Yuumi that comes to my mind was Doublelift playing that one in a victory there. But of course, the Yuumi abandoned Doublelift instantly in that game, so that was something that I don't think we'll see too much of in this one. Nevertheless, Order, once again, Skimmy, there's no faulting their drafting. It's super standard. It's exactly what you expect from them. The one wild card here is that Lucian, I would love to say it could be a mid laner, unfortunately can't be with the LeBlanc, but can do a lot of work into an Orianna in general once skirmishes come about.
Certainly can do. We've yet to see either Tien or Claire for the side of Chiefs play it, but we know that Lucian is very viable in a free role flex, so definitely an option for the Chiefs side to consider. And you touch about that mid lane matchup, and I want to see a bit more pressure, I suppose, go into Harry, because he's really been given all the options in this draft. Nothing's been denied away from him, and he's been able to play a lot of these comfort champions to very good success. What is interesting to note is the fact that Chiefs did ban away this Renekton, so we won't see that first pick come out here from Order, and they get a full swipe onto something a little bit different this time around.
Yeah, they definitely are. Looking at what that will be, he still has plenty of options available, to be honest. It's just going to be the Croc taken away from him. Scion, one of those mandatories, he's not going to play Renekton, make sure the Scion's removed. The thing that I'm also looking at here, Skimmy, and I like this Volibear ban specifically for that, is when you've got a LeBlanc in mid lane, you always want to have a ganking jungler if you can. So you look at what options are available. He may even consider something like the Ignite Graves with Phase Rush. May not be known as a gank jungler, but because LeBlanc has the setup, he then has the damage to hit that one home. Looking closely at what the Chiefs will draft, because they kind of need a tank still as well. And they could consider the Lilia, but that's not going to be a tank at all. And that means that Croc has to, right? Like, he has to do his Sejuani, but no melee champions makes that a very difficult champion to play. Maybe Zac, who knows?
I mean, after what we found out in Twitch chat before, maybe Zac is the play, and we'll get to see what they do decide to go for. They're going to go for a tank in some form or fashion. It will be the Trundle on this occasion. I do like the fact that they've banned away the Stylus, because we've seen that the Chiefs can use it to good effect as well, especially when their opposition have a ton of fantastic ultimates that can be taken away between what Order have got locked in here so far. So the Trundle going to be a nice little acquisition here. Lock down the ability then to make life easier for Yuumi to keep him topped up, because we saw that be a bit of a weakness there for Croc, despite being a Volibear. Very, very squishy.
Okay, so they're going to go for the Maokai here. I was just thinking about what junglers we would see from Only. Now you've got a Maokai, you can kind of do whatever you want, actually. You know your matchup into Trundle, and that's why Graves is just stuck in my head at the moment. Range champions, Kindred maybe even a possibility. As I say that, of course, he's going to lock in the Kindred, so we take those. Right now, I would say a pretty big pick, that Kindred. A lot of potential in this game. The risk is, of course, Chiefs being on the red side, maybe a very much favored red side team you would hazard a guess at as well, for someone like Tien to literally 1v9 a game if he gets given a pure counter.
That's the pick they're going to go for here, Rusty. They're going to go for a cow. They believe this is the composition that could bring them back into this series. They're up against a match point. They're up against a very much informed side of Order. And they feel like this could be the difference maker here. Comfort for Drag, who a pick that works so wonderfully for Katsuri, and the ability to be nimble and keep the pressure on this Ezreal. But I have a ton of pick potential. If anybody gets a little bit too crazy, that Divine Judgment that Tien showcases could be the difference maker here.
There is so much onus in this game on having Croc as a frontliner to be super relevant. I really feel like if you are Order and you're able in any way to punish Croc's pathing, get him behind, they're going to have no tanks. So that's a big deal that you have to look at, right? Where Order's composition, once again, you highlight this a million times, it's front to back, it's standard, it makes sense, they've just got a team composition. One thing that they may be lacking a little bit of in this game, however, is that bridging champion. If Kindred's looking for marks, if Ori goes a tier build into LeBlanc, which is pretty standard, you've got Rare on a tier builder as well. It's got some reliance on Maokai being strong, and I feel like you've only got 6 levels of that then before the Kayle gets ranged and starts to make life a little bit more difficult up there. I feel like Order do have a little bit of a harder time getting ahead in this game, but if they're able to survive, they will be very powerful once teamfights come around.
They most certainly will be. Only has not been known really for his Kindred play this year. He's only played 1 game so far. It's a long time ago since we last saw him showcase that, but as it has been really coming into the playoffs, a lot of these players are showcasing that there is more to their champion pool than meets the eye. Best of 1 is one thing. Best of 5 is a completely different thing at just that. We're going to see what actually happens here on the Rift here today. Order on match point. The Chiefs coming into this one feeling like they have what it takes to bring this back to make that reverse sweep. Match point situation, tension for both sides. Bear in mind that for Order, you know, a lot of these players, this could be their last go at it. And they want to make sure that this could be a crushing 3-0.
I'm super excited for this Lucian Yuumi as well, more than anything else maybe on the map right now. Of course, we can acknowledge the counter pick that exists for TN in top lane. We know that this Kayle can be an absolute menace, has the potential to really foil the plans of Order as well if Hayri's the one that's fed. Maybe keeping carries alive with that ultimate could prove to be super useful. And if it snowballs, this game could be out of hand for Order. But looking at that Lucian Yuumi lane, if they're in any way able to get fed, the influence that they could have around Summoner's Rift would be huge. And the reason this is so exciting, Skimmy, is Katsuri's on a carry. Like a proper carry. He's not just on the utility Ashe. He's got a support in Dragku, and they're going to go at it. And that's super exciting to see if King Rob's in form today. And he's actually able to go for that pentakill playstyle. Because Game 1 gave me a lot of promise for what he's able to provide today.
Certainly do. We'll return to that point in a second because we're going to see a bit of a level 1 fight take place between both the Bruisers and the top side. The Master and the Apprentice as once were on the same team working together in that top lane role. Now, in their own right, making a career for themselves.
The Master has absolutely beaten down the Apprentice at level 1. Face checking a Maokai with his Q. Maokai also has one of the fastest auto attack speeds in the game. Also scales to be, I believe, one of the fastest as well, if not top 2. So messing with a Maokai when it comes to auto battles is always going to be a risky decision at level 1, but he takes it on. And of course, it's just going to be one corrupting stack used, where a Doran's shield on the other side means no potions needed. That's why Swiper wins that one. This is still the lane that you'd look at for Order. We highlighted through draft. It's going to be strong early. Would not be shocked to see only playing top side to enable this to be a real bridging champion. Swiper then can hit some big teleports and look for team fights at 6. Probably the most likely thing here for Order.
So I want to return to that point back in the bot lane for Katsu. We've seen him, as you say, play the Ashe, go even, come into those team fights, utilize his ultimate for engage. We've seen him play the Senate and do much of the same, but this is going to be, as you say, a much more outright carry. He wants to find dominance from the level 2, level 3 mark as a result. We've seen in the most recent patches, he's had a buff not only to his Q range, but to his ultimate as well, with extra shots. And that could be a shot now fired in the top side of this map, as TN is in so much trouble. Keep a Kayle down low, get your clocks ready, because level 16 is going to be a world away.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the game plan that Order would have coming into this one. It's wildly successful. A flash engage from Swiper, and of course making sure that he uses that smash. Pushes Tian away from the turret, and that's also the direction of safety is where Only is going to be cutting him off. So can't even use his flash to safety. Tian is just going to teleport his way back to top lane. Trundle right now going to be a menace, maybe look for a 1v1. We'll see if he's able to do anything. Once that pillar is gone, his chances of fighting go down a lot.
I certainly do. And going to be up to TN to see what he can do to try and bridge this gap. We've seen him play Kayle a fair few times, about 4 times across this year. No stranger to what it offers, and now you're able to navigate to that position of the game. And I think that's something that's going to be quite interesting to actually spectate, because we've seen on these last 2 games the Order have not only created so much pressure on as a whole on the map to force Chiefs to group up as 5, but they've lost a lot of their side lane pressure as a result of that. And obviously we know that Kayle wants to stick to that to acquire level 16 as quickly as possible. So that could be a fantastic nullifying factor if the game goes that long.
Croc's able to pick himself up double scuttle crabs here as well. He's playing from top to bot side of the map, looking for a potential dive, I would say. He's very risky here without a teleport, but they do have Claire's teleport available in wards to place if they choose to. Claire is going to teleport here, Skimmy, so it looks like the dive is on.
Yep, they want to make that dive happen in the spot lane. They're really targeting it so far, but a double teleport response here from Order, and just like that, The Chiefs have to disengage away. They're in a spot of bother. There's no way around it. They're going to utilize their mobility to actually dash into the face of what was going to be a Kindred ready to gank and back up the boys. And this really gives Tien so much free pressure to say what was a rough start for me. Now I'm able to give so much advantages in this top side to balance.
Ayla hits a clutch stun to really ensure that that dive isn't possible, but the second the double teleports come across here from Order, forces a full disengage by the Chiefs. And for a moment there, and it's only a moment, you were looking at a potential collapse onto all of the Chiefs by Order. But the way that they disengage, the decisions that they make going at only enforcing his summoners was clutch. They make sure that they're just trading summoner spells in the end, and it is ultimately just going to be a disengage. And because the Chiefs start this one, they had top lane completely freed up on an island to farm for free. So that's a big advantage, at least brought back into the hands of Tien in that top lane 1v1.
Certainly is, and it's going to be interesting to know how his laning phase continues, if we will see only show more attention topside, or if we will be forced to rotate to this bottom half of the map where Katsuri and Draku showcase their brilliance together. See a lot of damage to look forward to, and Yumi's going to have a field day of what target she wants to buff up going into the latter phases of this match.
You know, one thing that I actually really like about this Lucian Yumi duo, now that I'm looking at it, is the fact that the changes to Yumi really affected mana costs on her heal, right? That was a major deal for preventing her from being able to exist. Lucian's one of those champions that can actually just build lifesteal as his first items. Any Blade of the Ruined King user that has utility there. Because you can lifesteal yourself back up to health, it does mean that Yumi's able to conserve mana costs by not having to use that heal nearly as often. And as a result, you have more staying power in lane, which is one of the weaknesses that Yumi would then have from the nerfs that she received. So, Lucian actually a fantastic pick for that reason as well. Make sure that they're still a powerful 2v2.
Very powerful 2v2 at just that. There could be a 1v2 in the mid lane as we see Clear continue to shove aggressively, but Kindred waiting in the wings. Tension on the top side, swings back and forth as the wave crashes in, and Tien takes an opportunity at level 6 to go for a bit of a fight. He's ascended as the wings get golden. He's not going to turn golden, but he's going to look to be the golden boy as he flashes on forward, goes for the all-in, goes for the commit. So Swiper, you have no level 6, you can't do much damage. Did you chuck at a sapling? Too little, too late. And now I'm not going to die to these minions, and chucks out the Chief's flare.
Yeah, Tien with the solo kill. We just spoke about how that could potentially happen, right? Teleport used bot lane for Swiper. Has to go back to top lane with a major disadvantage, and then looks for the turret plate. And that was his undoing. The experience difference from that choice to teleport bot lane is ultimately what kills him, but the decision for the turret plate was the real reason there. A little bit greedy from Swiper ultimately. He pays the IM price for that one. Well played by Tien.
Very well played. Also the ultimate available. Felt very confident. Don't need to use it. May have done if he had a ton of minion aggro. But he knew the numbers, he knew the damage output, he knew how to recover this lane state. We continue to see aggression found in the bottom lane, and now Katsuri is able to find a very healthy 20 CS advantage.
Yeah, and top lane is going to be exactly the problem we were worried about. Bot lane, like you mentioned, is actually starting to mount up and be a problem in its own right. And a lot of that, I think, is because it's isolated, but we've got Kindred coming down here, Skimmy.
Certainly do. That's going to force out flashes. A very early barrier as well. No damage was actually put out. But Katsuri not taking any risks on that situation. And having numbers in the area. Order might now look to put down some deep vision into the enemy jungle. And see what happens in mid lane. As Croc's potentially showcasing that he can gank too.
Yeah, they forced a flash out of Hayri, which is pretty big. You know, whenever LeBlanc hits those chains, if Croc is nearby, they have the potential. Croc now about to face check once again. Needs to be careful.
Certainly does.
Blue buff should be free now as well, Skibby, so they do set themselves up nicely here, Order, even if the kill wasn't available. They're forcing summoner spells and opportunities arise.
Who will go for it? Croc cannot steal that one away. It is picked up.
But who got it?
Well, that's what I was looking for. I'm not seeing the camera pan
Surely
across. It
Croc
must have been
got
a
it.
member of Chiefs.
Surely
I
Croc
didn't see
got
the
it.
blue squirrel go around, but it must be. We've been deceived here by what we saw. Maybe I'm just blind here.
Top lane plate starting to fall here as well. Swiper does have decent wave clear. It's one of the biggest strengths that Maokai has. But often to clear those waves, you need to be in melee range of the minions. So Kale's going to be able to hit you every single time that you try and use the Bramble Smash on a wave. And that really does add up. You know, Kale has a lot of sustain and damage to couple with that. Mac only limited amounts based on spell usages, and Tien doesn't even need to use spells, right? He can just stand there and auto.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse as Kale goes through the stages of evolution, becomes stronger and stronger at level 11 till 16 and onwards. Always a nice little expectation situation, I suppose, really, from not only a player but as a fan watching as to watching the evolution of that champion. But will be the case of what can Cypher do to try and even out those odds. This is the link up, and this is why this combo together are so damn strong. The final chapter locks you in place. The culling delivers the damage. Exhaust comes out. Ayla is impressive.
Ayla, no flash.
Does not have any flash right now. He's in so much trouble. Out comes the shockwave. He flashes away. Croc's in trouble. Now Swiper jumps on top of him. The Herald is used to good effect to add extra damage into the fold of things. It's the Nature's Grasp, but everybody will keep their life intact for the meantime.
And once again, just Summoners being burned everywhere, but really struggling to find these follow-throughs, find these kills, find anything further. We're not converting into meaningful gold differences. Most of it right now is just through the CS differentials coming out in some of these lanes, but they're kind of just going back and forth, right? You've got 97 to 78 in bot lane, you've got 93 to 78 in mid lane going the other way. Kill equalizing the CS difference in the jungle role as well, maybe a little bit more in the hands of Only, realistically, when you consider those two. And top lane's probably the only major point of real difference.
Certainly is at this stage. Since that Bramble Vest is there, no matter what the laning phase looks like, he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in these team fights, as we saw a bit of a glimpse into that previous skirmish. And this is really what it represents so far. Very minor leads found, but leads all the same. 400 between these AD carries. And that is nullified between these junglers as the top lane takes a small advantage too. Always a nice situation when the Kale's ahead in laning phase.
So to check in with a couple of things that we spoke about earlier here, one of them being that Order are going to have a pretty tough time bridging themselves if they don't get ahead through top lane. They did that, right? They then teleport to bottom lane, which is actually a major component of trying to bridge the rest of your team to being relevant, because if that dive went off right, that could have been devastating for Order's chances in this game. Chiefs have to, rightly so of course, disengage as a result of that top advantage. Now they've got tier stackers basically just farming as best they can. And if that's the case, then even though the gold difference is 1,000 right now, really they're fine. There is still definite concerns. Chiefs have a lot of tools to run away with this game. I still wait for the opportunity that Croc has a chance in mid lane with Claire, but I think that's less and less likely as the minutes pass. But they still have a lot of ability to siege with the composition they have. Namely in the sense that they will deal a lot of damage and push you off turrets.
Certainly will, and that's what they're going to be looking for right now as the Chiefs finding a lot more success coming into this early laning phase. Can now reward themselves by picking up subsequent dragons. The Herald has been left unattended as it stands so far. That means we are playing for a Cloud Soul, and we talk about a lot of these much needed ultimates. Going to be proving quite vital, especially between these two in the bot lane for the side of Chiefs. You just think of the fact that culling on cooldown can be used on repeat, same with the final chapter. They find a person out of position. The Chiefs will be well equipped to take them down.
Yeah, maybe a little bit lacking on damage overall if Only's not there to apply anything himself. But they do have a lot of tools available when it comes to being able to lock someone down. Yeah, maybe, you know, we'll hold that thought for the moment.
Oh, we'll see a bit of a glimpse into what this combination represents. When it comes to bot lane, there's the flash, there's the barrier, and there's the tempered fate. Now they could be in trouble, but there's nobody else in the area. And Ayla may just try and look for the solo kill, but between the barrier of a summon and between the barrier that Yuumi can provide you with, not going to be that easy to take out Katsuri.
Yeah, cute attempt there from Ayla using the ultimate at the last second. Tried to have enough damage, but even if he did, Dragu had exhaust. So they're able to save the summoner spells. Heal now going to be up and available soon as well for this Yuumi. Lucian still having effectively 2 summoner spells available and diving the Ezreal. We are getting the game from Katsuri that we hoped to see come out of the AD carry of the Chiefs. If he translates this to team fighting, Skimmy, we could well be going to a game 4. And so far, so good.
So far, so good indeed. That means he goes back to base, picks himself up a Blade of the Rune King, highlights the point you were mentioning before, extra sustain from himself, but then the ability for Yuumi to provide extra if need be. It just makes them feel very safe if they go for those turret dives, with all the opportunities they have to negate damage, to sustain damage, and output damage at just that too. We'll get to see if they can put Rare behind again. But as history has shown us already, despite you putting him behind, even himself or Swiper, they'll always find a way to try and turn things around come the mid-game.
Yeah, or to have an uncanny ability to just commit fully to these fights that happen from any kinds of deficits. They just know the objectives they need to contest, and they do it 100%. They push themselves to absolute limits. It makes a difference. Still going to be waiting for exactly what that is right now. This game's still a little bit too even to say anything for certain yet. We've got a level 11, however, for Kale. Starting to add up 11 out of 16 in top lane.
Certainly is. Two-man Shockwave. Croc's in trouble. Not enough sustain to go for that one. Subjugate will not protect him in this situation. Now will the Chiefs look to try and make a play elsewhere on the map. Tien's going to go for a 1v1 into Swiper again. Drops him down to half. Swiper's just running. He's got flash if need be. He may be forced to use it, or might just find safety in that blast cone, which he does. For Order, will utilize an opportunity to find that kill in the mid lane to summon the Herald and take down the first turret.
Yeah, you can't afford to get caught in a situation where you're not under a turret to protect you if you're a Swiper, so he actually gets forced out there. Luckily for him, of course, we'll still be able to keep that flash and will not use the teleport to group up. But elsewhere, Croc caught out of position, only still having a fantastic series for himself so far, as is Hayri. And those two working in tandem are just so consistently threatening that if you make a single mistake, they seem fully equipped to punish you every single time. And Croc finds himself now 0-1. He's done well so far in this game. Big mistake costs.
They certainly do. Now, will we find more mistakes take place on the map right now? As far as things go for a Chiefs game, we're definitely not looking at a ton of kills, a ton of action. It's been a lot more elegant, I suppose, more forced by Order to say we want to play macro, we want to play lane states, we want to force fights on our terms, and not really buy into the chaos that Chiefs always want to threaten.
Yeah.
With a draft like this, Chiefs are finding those avenues of success. That's cute. Okay, flashes out of the route that was being possessed. He's in a 1v3 now. Divine Johnson goes out. He's already burnt that flash, so can't disengage any further. He's going to look to try and take somebody down with him. But they kite impressively again, and the three-man collapse pays off big time. Can Croc deny? He can indeed. That recall's cancelled. They're pushing the wave. Katsuri wants to get in on it. 1, 2, and 3. Falls to the turrets. Draku is dropped off. He watched his AD carry fall on down, but they will pick up a turret.
That was a crazy amount of damage that just went onto Katsuri all at once. Just the ultimate turret shot seemed to be more than enough to secure the kill. It felt like it was a matter of time until Rare goes down, but their force enables the trade to be available. And Rare somehow pulls that rabbit out of the hat. Now he's got himself a kill, working towards that Trinity Force build yet again. And Order still being able to trade. You know, they were the ones being proactive on the top side of the map here as well, Skimmy, when they find Tian. And try as he might, he's not going to be able to deal with 3 members up there. And so that's kind of just a win across the board, really, because Bot should have just been a losing situation. And they trade.
They certainly do. The wave hadn't crashed completely at that stage. He wasn't in a position to be able to assist what was Croc on the hunt, denying those recalls, finding a very low Ezreal. Those are situations that Order will be very grateful that can be afforded to them. That's going to even at the gold here at the 18-minute mark, but on the reset, Chiefs respond, they rotate, go straight to this Dragon and ensure that this is going to be one of the earliest soul points to play for.
Yeah, this is going to be the real concern for Order's composition. If you give over the Cloud Soul, you're going to give over so much strength to the roster of the Chiefs. 4 Drakes back-to-back. But right now, you'd have to say 18 minutes into this one, the fact that the gold is even, the tier stackers will start to come online, you would think, before the next Drake spawns. That's probably the Dragon that they will fight for. Do or die moment potentially there.
Swiper's going to continue to find pressure in this top side once more. Going to take down that first turret, make it a bit easier for them to find these angles to target that top side. Make it as easy for Kale to split push and continue the growth to level 16. Level 12, not too far away now. Definitely won't have that level 16 available before that soul point contest. Defensive will be playing for the clock though, however. As the one-item power spikes are starting to be seen here. Harry's already got himself the evolution with the Seraphs, as he's got the blue buff too, so a ton of ability just to shred through those waves, but no doubt Rare 7 will be biding his time to also hit that point of that power 2.
Yeah, most definitely. Looking right now, mid lane outer turret's the only one standing here for Order. Hayri actually very caught.
It certainly is. And it's going to be Claire, the one in the driving seat so far. Out goes the stopwatch. Do any members of Order have the ability to come into this fight? They don't. Teleports are not there. Shockwave goes out, it's not going to do much, especially when Draku is there to top your health bar back up, and just like that, Order say, well, we've lost your bot side, but we know where the Chiefs are, let's pick up this Herald.
Yeah, once again, looking for objectives. Top lane inner turret also being smacked by the Maokai, and he does take turrets down surprisingly quickly at this point in the game. Even with just the Spirit Visage, if he was to hit that one. But he's actually going to disengage. No teleport or flash for him. So if the Chiefs looked for a fight right now, they would find a winning situation. Of course, that seems to be the difference that we're looking at right now. There's a lot of kill focus for the Chiefs composition, which makes sense, right? You've got the LeBlanc. If you're able to get her around the rift, you definitely want to look for kills. They're taking turns, really, as well, looking for those. Just pot shots at people on weak sides. And it's been successful, I think, literally every time this game.
Certainly has, and Claire, you'd have to say, is desperate at this stage to get that cash injection, because Harry's had his number so far in this series. He's always managed to find these big CS leads, translated that into big team fight moments, and not only made sure that he is ahead, but the rest of his team finds success as well, and a very informed control mage like such. Once again, does dictate the terms of these fights and ensures that they come out ahead. And you start to wonder, okay, well, 2 minutes before that soul point to play for, yes, there's a Baron, but I still think, you know, this soul point of a Cloud just gives Chiefs so much mobility and freedom.
Yuumi does seem to have dejected Katsuri now, is sitting with the LeBlanc. Definitely helps LeBlanc a lot. We've actually seen internationally a lot of LeBlanc Yuumi working in tandem. Once you hit mid-game, enabling LeBlanc to play recklessly, in essence, just makes life so easy to be Claire in this game. Just constantly look for stuff.
And he's been empowered there by the Yuumi. Out goes the final chapter, but the wrong way, the wrong angle. There's Shockwave turning around now, trying to take out this Trundle. Here comes the teleport from the Chiefs. They want bloods. They want a full 5v5 here in the mid lane. In goes Claire, caught by the roots. Forced to back out now. Katsuri flashing away. The Maokai just finding so much value there with his ultimate, and just like that, Tiena's gone. Divine Judgment popped. Can he flash into the safety of that Raptor pit? He most certainly can. There's the magical journey. Maybe there's a flash on forward. It certainly is. One order will do it. Bard delivers the damage. And a fight on slim margins. Summoner's burn. Ultimate's expended. But a kill going the way of Order.
The 21 minutes, they can't do Baron. You look at Claire, he's still got Yuumi nearby. They're just going to have too much of a threat. Full HP, full mana is the LeBlanc and the Yuumi right now. Order, they considered. They'll change their mind, they'll disengage, and we're just going to get a full reset. And realistically, what happened in that fight, it was a single kill, Skippy. Nothing actually really coming out of that one. But you can see what is potentially there for Order when it comes to their team fighting. Maokai gets into the mix. Trundle not really able to find the best engage or the ultimate that he's after. And Kale just stuck, not being able to auto-attack. Maokai ultimate locks her down, W follows up. And suddenly, TN teleporting into the fight with this perfect team fight situation. You know, the flank was excellent. Just unable to do a thing.
Certainly did. Once again, I suppose it draws attention to the fact that Swiper knows, you know, this matchup in this top lane won't be the easiest, but I can just contribute so much to these team fights. We saw it there. He's got the Spirit Visage, the Tabbies, the Bramble Vest. Anybody targets him, they're not going to have an easy time, especially if they've got that Yuumi there to buff them up. And they put themselves in a very good position now to contest this soul point.
Lane priority definitely going to be a point of contention here for both teams. Chiefs retain the prior. Oh, Shockwave.
Shockwave onto 2. That could be lights out straight there. The turnaround. There's a tempered fate that buys them time. The fate's call as well. All the invulnerabilities throw them our way. 2-1 so far. Order fight advantages, Order find kills. But if it's a sustained fight, you know that Yuumi can pop off. Croc needs heals, needs health, needs advantages. Oh
Katsuri.
No! Harry flashing away, thinks he has it. And as you go through the magical journey, there's nothing magic about it. You're dead and done, and Katsuri gets a triple.
Yeah, Order just lose the team fight to the hands of damage coming out of this Lucian. Yuumi, of course, working nicely with it. They're going to be able to pick up the Cloud Soul here for themselves. Massive team fight win for the side of the Chiefs. This is exactly what we said would most likely happen. You know, you get your Trinity Force on the Ezreal, you get your tier upgrades on the Ezreal and the Ori. This is the moment you consider the team fight. But if that's the one that they lose, they give over a soul, and they continue to scale up on the side of the Chiefs. This will be wonderful for them. And that's after Hayri hits a big shockwave. They all get so low, and this situation looks okay until a Bard and a Kindred use their ultimates at the exact same time. Ayla then missing the stun afterwards as well. And this still looks okay. Rare face checking Croc, I will say, after that one. A little bit unnecessary. He's at 0 HP, but Katsuri just going to be back to full health, and that's it, right? Double tap, gets the extra kill, that's 2. Ayla's just dead to rights here. And at a certain point as well, that portal could have actually been a trip to death for the rest of his team if they weren't careful.
So it could have been, and as you quite rightly highlight there, the stacking of the ultimates seemed to be their ultimate demise in the end, with Croc very lucky to survive, but Harry unfortunately unable to get another rotation of his cooldowns through. And the Triumph procs topping him up. King Robert, 5-1 now. He's got all the range, all the damage, and all the attention in the world, with a Yuumi coupled towards him with an Ardent Sensor and a Fiend's Unholy Grail. They've got a soul point. If you try and run, it's not going to be that easy to run away, as Swiper seems to be the key target locked in place. He has no flash. Katsuri, he's zoning him away. A man possessed. He's just going to 1v3 with Claire on the hunt as well and say, get back to your base. You lost your chance to fight. We have a Cal. He's level 15. You best be scared.
Yeah, they're going to go straight over towards the Baron side of the map here as well. If they start this one up, it is possible because they have Croc playing the tank Trundle. But they've got a 3-item Lucian. If they're going to look for kills instead, they would be able to eviscerate the health bars of their opponents. They bring Tan into the mix. Now their DPS is incredibly high, but they're going to choose to disengage, it seems like, from this one. Can't blame them for that one. One more level, by the way, until Kale is going to be an absolute menace. So why force things that have risk when you can just continue to play this one out calmly?
Calm has to be the key word right now. You know how close you are to falling out of this series, but you know how good the control of this game has been found right now. Slim margins at the 26-minute mark. Only up by 2,000 gold, but it feels that the soul point and the ability to find success with the current itemization and knowing that level 16 is on the horizon just explodes that lead so much more. And we'll get to see how the Chiefs look to best navigate that. You'd say you want to go to the Baron with conviction, with a numbers advantage, because you get to see that Order can flip the game on that play.
And Katsuri with that 3-item spike definitely still has some money in the bank as well. Is an absolute menace to deal with. And that's even without the Yuumi that's going to be jumping on top of him. And the rapid fire cannon choice for his 3rd item as well. Huge damage amp. They're going again.
Look at the calling flash or not, you can't run out. The movement speed's incredible. He's locked in place. Tempered Fate gets dropped down again. Same with the Fate's Call. He gets dropped up. A 3-man shockwave. Divine Judgment is there. Can anybody from the Chiefs survive? Croc, he's so damn tanky. He falls down eventually, but Kale survives. It's a shutdown. Claire's on the ball. Claire does the damage. Claire's got the point, and Claire finds a double. Katsuri comes on through, he burns the flash, he gets the job done, he's 6-1, it's bounties on their heads. They'll find a big kill, they'll find a big moment, they get a quadra kill, then the question is it Inhibitor or is it Baron?
They're going to run straight over to the Baron buff. No jungler for either team, but they have more than enough damage to lock this one down, so there should be no concerns at all here, Chiefs. They'll win back-to-back team fights. They will really push the ticket here in order to try everything that they possibly can to survive in that one. The teleport was early enough from Swiper. He gets into the mix. The Kindred ultimate was perfectly timed. The shockwave hits 4 people, Skimmy. What more could you possibly want if you were ordered to win that team fight? But they just don't have enough to be able to stomach the damage the Chiefs are tossing at them right now.
They most certainly don't. If they didn't before, they probably don't now. 16 is there for this Kale. Is this the start of the reverse sweep? Will we get our first best of 5? I mean, let's just check with this fight. Look at the absurd movement speed they have.
And the fight starts with Claire being exhausted and just going back to position 1. No real threat at all. Shockwave, you can see it hits everyone, but Claire was locked down with a Kale ultimate, so not going to have any damage going on to him. And you can see Claire's positioning as well. Just completely untouched through a lot of this fight. And it's just so easy for Katsuri to stand behind the threats that exist elsewhere on this team.
3 items for a lot of these players right now. Really starting to amp up their individual potential, their combined potential when we're seeing them come together in a team fight. That's going to be the Chiefs picking up the Baron. A minute for the Elder. Not a single dragon has been picked up here this game by Order. Haven't found an opportunity to do so just yet. They've been very much reliant on these wombo combos. And they might need to be careful of it, finding again, and they're going to fully retreat and run for the hills. They have to be careful. Here's Claire, looking for the one shot, trying to bait out the Fate's Call, but only he holds his nerve.
Any time a skirmish happens and the result is just health for health, it's definitely going the Chiefs' way. Once again, because of that Yuumi, you can see no HP going to be there. Only going back to base. Of course, the Black Cleaver does provide some health and cooldown reduction, but it's not doing too much work right now for the rest of his team. They don't really have enough damage right now to get through any kind of Yuumi healing, even with Healing Cut.
They're certainly struggling, as you're seeing in these fights, despite them unleashing their 4 wombo combo, 2-man, 3-man shockwave, whatever it may be. It just doesn't seem to be enough. They're grouped up as 5. They have to be. They know if they separate themselves, they'll get picked apart. Just find Swiper. Gone before the fight can even start. Katsuri receives the Divine Judgment. He goes invulnerable. What do you do? Shockwave too little too late. Clear gets a double. It's explosive. It's Chiefs-esque. It's fights. It's carnage. It's damage. You're gone. That'd have been Ace. A flawless one at just that. And with the last bit of this Baron buff, they're going to go bot lane and look to end this game.
Yeah, that's going to be it, Skimmy. They're going to take us to a game 4 here as well. No 3-0s today for the Order Army. They're going to be pushed, and we'll see how it comes when push comes to shove if they respond in kind. But Chiefs, they put a carry position for Katsuri. They go the Lucian Yuumi, and they look like a team reborn. And they just pick apart Order.
They've got the experience. They've got the talent. But do they have the pressure, the discipline, the understanding to take it the full distance? It's going to now finish here 2-1. The Chiefs picking up game number 3.
And it's crazy to think about this game being a Maokai top lane into the Kayle with a level 2 kill, right? Like giving everything that you were kind of wanting to see from Order in terms of early game strategy. But one major difference, and this is something that we've spoken about a few times already, is the potential of this bottom lane to pop off. We have seen a very much weak-sided Katsuri for the entire playoffs. And this may be the first time we've seen him truly pick a carry, a hyper carry, and be supported in doing so. And he goes absolutely berserk.
He goes wild, he goes crazy, he says, no, I don't want to go even in laning phase. I don't want it to be a farming fiesta, a simulation. I want to carry. I want to showcase what I can do from the level 2 mark onwards, and that he most certainly did. We've got a series on our hand, guys. We're going to wait and see how this one continues. It's game number 4 right after this break.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is deadly! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.